Put on some hush puppy shoes. Let's play it one time. Woo!
To quote that great American poet, John Fogerty, we're stuck in Lodi again, but we're stuck in Lodi, New Jersey. And what is there to do in Lodi, New Jersey, but watch late night TV and the late movies? And I think that's what happened with the guys who formed this band, the Misfits. They're a punk band that is a first generation American punk band. So they were formed in '77, right there at pretty much the genesis of the whole happening. They were very strongly influenced, obviously, by the Sex Pistols and the Damned from the UK, but they had a very American take. And it was interesting because they kind of ran it through this channel of like 1950s horror. And so their onstage personas were heavily made up. So they looked like, Kiss's evil bastard brothers or cousins, and lots of leather, lots of makeup, and the songs, of course, because they were punk songs, they were fast and furious and very much in the, I guess I wouldn't call it goth, although some people would. It's horror. It's like horror movies, zombies walk among us, that sort of stuff. And the key thing was that Glenn Danzig has got a great kind of a bass basso profundo voice. I mean, he's really very good at articulating and bellowing these things in a very clear way. And they're, matched with great catchy songs that are very short and powerful. So it was a great thing. It happened. It inspired people. And of course, in a very small scale. I mean, this was not one of these things that became immensely popular, but the people who picked up on this trend, primarily on the West Coast, bands like Black Flag in particular, were very much influenced by the notion of, taking punk and jamming all kinds of other kinds of things besides, just boredom and the notion that you had to be constrained by, some sort of politicized approach or general angst, and you could add other kinds of things to it. The problem was, it was a very combustible situation. The band broke up by, they formed in '73, they broke up by '83. And I think that would have been fine and dandy if it just kind of stopped, but they didn't stop. Danzig went off, had his own couple of semi-popular follow-on bands that were not really like the Misfits. They had that same kind of punk, but also kind of a sludgy, heavy metal-ish kind of approach. Again, because of his songwriting skills and voice, he was able to kind of maintain some degree of forward momentum. So Sam Hain, I think, was one of his bands, and then became Danzig. In the meantime, the guys who were left behind, they kind of sat it out for a while, and then Jerry Only and his brother Doyle Wolfgang von Frankenstein, not his real name, they decided that they would reconvene based on this whole thing of, it was so unfortunate that we missed out on that people wanted to see the Misfits. They wished the Misfits were still around. Well, Jerry brought the band back, and he decided he would take over lead singing responsibility. He, we're still wearing his makeup, but while makeup is always kind of a goof thing to be doing, it's one thing when you're maybe 22. When you're in your 30s and subsequently, it becomes kind of ridiculous. Go ask Gene Simmons. I mean, the guy's a joke, of course, but if you don't care, I guess that's one way to do it. And I think what happened is that Jerry decided he was going to, go back to the well. He had no real capability to bring anything new to the table. The band was much less a horror 50s oriented thing than another kind of also ran slack heavy metal band. So of course this brings the inevitable lawsuits between Danzig and Only about who gets rights to the band's name, who gets rights to the merchandising. Interestingly enough, it was settled so that Danzig didn't care about the music. What he cared about was the merchandising. So he split the merchandising. Only can get it, he can take whatever he gets from the music that is generated by the new Misfits, and Glenn doesn't care about that. He just cares about the merchandising because that's where the real value is. So anyway, the bottom line is this, in my way of thinking, sometimes you got to let it go. You did something so great and interesting, and maybe it doesn't change the world, but it does have influence, and it is powerful. It is interesting and great, but the legacy is worth more than the stupid, trying to fill your pension fund. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares. People who come to see the Misfits now, it might sound okay, but it's missing the essential spark that really could have only happened at one particular time and place.
Well, put down your Playboy, put on some hush puppy shoes. Let's play it one time.